Starting with the preliminary election this September, people in Boston will usher in the most sweeping change in city government to happen during their lifetime. This year's election follows previous votes, signaling a dramatic change in the city's population and voter turnout. But it's also possible the election results could be a throwback to the leadership profile of an earlier time. And to make sure more people are turning out, our guest is hosting a show tonight on BNN about the city's voting in the past, present, and the future. We'd like to welcome the host and producer of Showdown, the Grapevine, Donovan Walker. Thank you very much for being with us, Donovan.
Chris, I want to thank you for having me.
So talk about why you're doing this kind of a show tonight.
Well, basically the value of this show was established, I think, about 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago, when the mayor decided not to run for office. And everybody out of the woodwork, you know, everybody popped up and said, I'm going to be mayor. I think there were 25 people that took out information or the necessary paperwork to file. Subsequently, a lot of them did not meet the bar, especially the 3,000 signatures necessary to garner being on the ballot. We have 12 who were successful, but as an individual looking, there needs to be an opportunity to water that down, and understanding that all 12 are running and only 2 will be able to proceed forward, I think puts us in a situation for all those who have not decided where they want to go, who they want to support, where they want to put their money. I think it's important to keep those people motivated and those people involved in the process. We are actually looking at an opportunity to change city government on a vast scale. The mayor has built this city in a sense where it's a world-class city, it's first class, but we also have a lot of problems that have not been touched on. And hopefully those who are undecided, we're hoping to motivate them and recognize that they have an opportunity to do something great, which is cast a vote and participate in this coming election.
Tell me about the people you're going to have on your show tonight, because I have a feeling that would give a hint about the kind of message that people are going to be hearing.
Well, first and foremost, I have to say that we have Mel King, who is coming under the representation of a villager. Mel's value on the show is he's got 40, 50 years of committed into politics. He understands the dynamics of, he actually ran for mayor in a runoff with Ray Flynn. So I wanted to give the history of Boston's election process and so forth and so on. And I'm hoping Mel can give enough insight and information to folks to let them understand that they must participate. We have Horace Smalls, who is a phenomenal, committed individual who cares about the community, but also who speaks his mind about the proper perspective that government holds, the value of city councilors and so forth and so on. And we're hoping that his focused and direct approach and attitude will have people understand the value of where they're going. We have Rodney Singleton, former chairman of the Jackson Square Development project over at Jackson Square. It was a $50, $60, $70 million project which was supposed to help and enhance and develop and benefit the community. But yet there were not any minority businesses that had the opportunity to not only offer a bid, but get a contract. So he's going to cover most of the information on how you may participate and be involved and still be disenfranchised. And then we have Cheryl Crawford, Executive Director of Mass Vote. She actually is just going to expound on the value of voting, the process that's out there, how many actually offices that are, you know, everybody seems to just see the mayor's thing. They don't recognize that there's 61 people running for president offices that are available. And there's not the resources or the pool of money available. And we're also going to have a studio audience, young folks, 18 to 25, who are legally able and registered to vote, and they're going to be able to give their feedback and thoughts. But The goal of the show when I put it together was to have people understand that this is not something you sit out. This is an opportunity to get up, participate, and actually own the process. You know, too often we say, not me. I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to participate. Well, in this process where we're making a new change, Boston is going in a new direction, because whoever becomes the next mayor will be a total opposite of the present 20 years that we've dealt with. And it's imperative that people have a hand in their future.
One of the things that I was reminded of, because you brought up Mel King, and even 30 years ago when he was running for mayor, this wasn't just about people showing up to vote someplace on election day. Even before that, there were people in the neighborhoods, active grassroots organizations who were getting out agendas and getting the candidates to come around to those agendas. So I guess that's another part of making change. Yeah,
well, you know, just alluding to that era more was about people building coalitions, folks working together. Actually, the particular individuals running for office were just the particular individuals. It was a bigger aspect in the sense where people were involved. I remember just looking back at young, old, and even the indifferent who did not want to participate, participated. And it got down to the wire, but it was a process that helped put us where we are now. Ray Flynn wins, he goes forward and takes the job. Mayor Menino comes in and, you know, 25 years later, we're here.
The other thing, too, is that many people still, even though the turnouts have changed and more people seem to be getting into the mix, but there are still people out there who might not realize that they're in an area where, if it's not in the mayor's race at least, there might be a district city council race going on where there's another opportunity for change.
Yeah. Well, you know, the biggest dynamics of this election coming up, this election year, in the sense of the primary and the general election, is that there's nothing major. There is, the individuals running have a vast array of qualifications for mayor. So, and you know, it's funny, but this election, it's got no hype to it. It's got no, and I think maybe because it's so many people involved, but in actuality, it just has you sitting there saying, I don't like this one, I like that one, I like that one. But that is not the value of what an election should provide. And what is happening in this process right now with all 12 of these individuals is that, yes, they're entitled to chase their dreams, but functionally, this process is not serving the people in a sense where we are able to make a good decision on who is going to do something to change and put us in a better position. You know, my thing in living in the city of Boston is that life should get better and it shouldn't get worse. The dynamics that we have 3 neighborhoods that always constitute the violence and the police's budget, that's wrong. You know, we have so many, it's just, there's a whole array of differences that have happened. We have Boston Latin, one of the top 3 schools in the United States of America, but yet we're supposed to have a failing school system because the resources are not applied for the rest of the system. You know, so it's an opportunity for whoever the people choose to come together and put in office to be accountable to them. No disrespect to the past regime, but the last 3 terms, the mayor's not been accountable to anybody. The mayor's been accountable to the mayor. And I love and respect him because if I was boss, chief, dictator, I'd probably act the same way.
He had opponents, but it wasn't all that close. Talk about the one problem in the schools I think that right now might be bothering people more than anything else. I mean just the persistent underperformance at Madison Park High School. There's a lot of disappointment with that. There's been talk over the years. And so how could somebody get this election to address that problem?
Well, one of the things that's important about Madison Park that did not happen when Madison Park was originally intended. Madison Park originally was intended as the follow-up of Boston Trade. It was supposed to be a high school where you would be allowed to get into all types of trades. It was one that would have accommodated the students and helped them, and they lost their way. They're on a new trajectory now. They're having a new headmaster. But nothing can be successful in the educational field if you do not provide the school with the resources necessary. One of the things I'm hoping happens as a community individual acclimated and with that environment in that area is that this new project at P3, that could be a catalyst that helps supplement some of the things that Madison Park wants to do in the sense of returning itself to its proper position as the high school that teaches our young folks how to go out there and work in the real world.
Well, finally, I know this is only good for our viewers who are tuning us in tonight at 5:30, but they should stay tuned or at least come back a little bit later, and your show will be on this channel at what time?
Our show will be on the Comcast Channel 23 at 8:30 live. We're on BNNTV.org if you don't have Comcast and you just want to get out the house and flip your computer on. And the name of the show is Showdown, the Grapevine. And we're looking forward to starting a conversation about participation.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris.
From Showdown, the Grapevine, Donovan Walker. Up next, we'll preview a free concert at the Strand Theater. But first, this message.